Hello and welcome back everyone to another video going over a Challenger's top 10 challenge moments. This week's video, we're going to be going over CT's top 10 challenge moments. Now, with someone like CT who has many iconic moments, many memorable moments, it's hard to narrow it down to a top 10. So let's just say I have a lot of honorable mentionable moments. Before we get into the list, I do want to say that all of these rankings in this video are purely from my opinion and perspective. So if you disagree with any of the moments that I have ranked, don't get angry, just let me know down in the comment section below where you would rank some of these moments. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the honorable mentions. First up, we have CT's first ever elimination win. Back in Season 8, The Inferno, CT's rookie season, he decided to step in and go into elimination for his buddy David, where in this elimination called Don't Toss Your Cookies, what we were able to experience was what we were going to see from CT throughout his entire challenge career, which is someone who is competitive, someone who has an iron stomach, and someone who had a lot of quips at hand.
We're not gonna be able to see your six-pack after all these cookies.
But you won't be able to see Shane after all these cookies.
Next up, we have in Season 36 Double Agents, CT winning the Dead Ringer elimination against Josh. Throughout the season, CT kept on telling everybody that he wanted the goof. Well, he made that moment happen for himself after winning a daily challenge, got to choose Josh as his opponent, and he went in there and won, securing his gold skull and his ticket to the Double Agents final.
Be right back. Quick snack.
Late in Season 25 Free Agents, CT had to face some tough competition from Leroy in the Wrecking Wall elimination. At first, this looked pretty evenly matched. That is until CT was able to pull away from Leroy, blasting handholds and footholds as he quickly made his way up the wall and rang the bell. I would be remiss if I didn't mention CT winning Champs vs. Stars Season 2 with Tony. Now, in the beginning of this final, Team Dadbod of CT and Tony lagged behind the other teams. Being the only team made up of 2 challengers, there was a lot of pressure on both of them to pull out this win. Tony and CT willed themselves to stay up with the competition. They made up a lot of time in the eating portion.
Right? Yum yum all day.
And took home the win. Something very impressive that I noticed in CT's stats is back in his sophomore season, Season 10, Inferno 2, CT won every life shield available except for 2. CT never had to see an elimination, and it's because he was virtually safe the entire time, thanks to him just absolutely dominating a majority of the daily challenges. And finally, in Season 21, the T-Bone elimination, where CT was able to do the CT Choo Choo and take out Tyler and Bananas in one fell swoop. I was so close at putting the CT Choo Choo in the top 10. It is one of the most impressive and memorable elimination moments from CT, but because CT and Adam would lose this elimination, I just couldn't reason with myself to put it in the top 10 over the moments that I have in the top 10. Speaking of the top 10, let's start at number 10 with TO versus CT in Champs vs. Stars. The Champs team were losing players due to injury at an alarming rate. CT was trying to get some information from The Miz and had a lot of questions to the point where TO felt like they were being crybabies. So he did this whole crying, mocking motion behind CT's back, which CT felt very disrespected. Things got pretty tense between the two men, especially when CT called out why Terrell Owens was even on the challenge.
We're getting paid, you wouldn't be here. I didn't ask to be here. Whoa, I didn't burn $70 million.
This just proved that, one, CT did not care who you were. If he felt disrespected by you, he was gonna take it to you. He was gonna cut to the core of you, which clearly he did for TO. He hit a nerve to the point where TO decided to pull himself from the entire competition. In 9th place, I have in Season 13, The Duel, CT versus Evan in the Ascender elimination. Evan was voted into the elimination and instantly regretted the moment he said he wanted to face CT in the elimination. Evan was scared, to the point where he even drew the puzzle to the Ascender elimination on his arm for reference.
Evan comes walking up with a cheat sheet on his arm. You're a meatball, you're going home anyway.
CT was eating up this moment. He was not afraid to go into the elimination. He was more thinking about what he was going to do after winning the elimination, like flirting with Diem back at the house. Lo and behold, CT wins against Evan, calls him a meatball, and gets to stay in the game. Now, the 8th top moment in CT's career so far, I have him winning season 37. Now, this might seem weird, having a challenge win this far down. CT was in the best shape he had been in quite some time on this season. He had the most friends. He really never had to worry about possibly going into elimination, thanks in part to the Gold Skull and Red Skull twist was not implemented on the season. He was able to waltz his way into the final, win the first day with his really stacked purple team, and towards the end, it really did not matter who he would have been paired up with because he would have won outright, in my opinion. It looked close in the edit with Kyle and Tori hot on CT and Casey's heels, but again, I just don't believe that they could have overtaken CT and Casey. Next up, we have another challenge championship, and that was in season 34, War of the Worlds 2, when CT's Team UK won the season. CT was on Team UK, away from his US friends and allies, but really he played a spy-like game, getting insider info to take it to Cara Maria and Paulie and their alliance members. Being within Cara's cult, CT played a really strong social game, and then waiting until the perfect time to make his move against Team US, to where in the final elimination of the season, instead of sending in one of his Team UK's members, he turned it around and sent Ashley in against Nani. The undermanned Team UK would go on to outright destroy Team US in the final, especially in the first day, which would then propel them to have a head start in the final phase of season 34's final, which was all the time they needed to get the upper hand and to win the season. And with CT's 6th best moment, let's go to yet another win, and that is Double Agent's season 36 win. In season 36, CT was coming in with a little bit of heat on him. Him and Ashley were nominated to go into the first elimination. Possibly CT would have had to face off against Wes, but then it turned out to be a women's elimination. CT was able to bide some time, but once he got his Gold Skull after taking out the goof, it was only a matter of time for him to march his way through the game, get to the final, get paired up with a rookie in Amber, and then him and Amber would absolutely demolish this final, leaving everybody in the dust. They were a solid duo as they won by a large margin. This was a really, really strong showing, and because he had to go into an elimination to get his Gold Skull, I felt like this was a more impressive win than the other season wins that I previously mentioned right before this one. Now we're cracking into the top 5, and at number 5 we have in season 29, CT winning the not-so-fast elimination against Darrell. This was the final champion elimination right before the final, and we had Dadbod CT coming back after a multi-season hiatus, going up against Darrell, who was coming off of winning against both Zach and Bananas. CT knew he had to work smarter, not harder. So instead of going around the whole entire jungle gym, he used all of his time to constrict the most impossible knot to untie. Every time I think of CT and the not so fast elimination, I think of this picture right here of CT sitting in his knot hammock. This was the strategy that moving forward, everybody used to win this particular elimination as CT pulled off the upset against Darrell. Honestly, this is probably one of, if not my favorite CT moment. Staying in season 29, Invasion of the Champions, I have his win as his 4th best challenge moment. Like I mentioned, CT was coming off of a multi-season hiatus. CT was coming in as a new father. He was in his dad bod era. He made his way through the game, got to the final, had to go up against the Young Bucks in Nelson and Corey, and this final came down to a narrow margin, where a total time of 2 minutes and 22 seconds separated CT and Nelson from first place and second place, and CT was able to get the challenge win. This was such a big moment because the last time we'd seen CT was back in season 27, where he came in as a mercenary, as well as the demonstration in a daily challenge, being with Diem's sister. But prior to that, he had been on season 26, Battle of the X's 2, where he pulled himself from the game to be by Diem's side after she was medically disqualified from the game. And we even had that very beautiful ceremony at the time of Diem's anniversary of her passing. That for all of that to accumulate to the point where CT came back to the show and won this season in particular is very, very impressive. And speaking of Diem, let's go back to season 13, the duel, where Diem and CT started flirting with each other. They founded a relationship with each other, to the point where we got to see their first kiss televised on the show. This is such a big moment in reality TV history, where we would follow CT and Diem's relationship through multiple seasons of the show. CT and Diem's relationship was even in the top romances in TV history. For the second best moment in CT's challenge career so far, I have his win back in season 24, Rivals 2. Now, back in Rivals 2, we had CT and Wes, one of the most dominant men's duos. They won multiple daily challenges. They never saw a single elimination. Once in the final, they dominated. This was almost unfair to have CT and Wes paired up with each other. And not to mention, this was CT's first ever challenge win after going through 8 seasons. Multiple DQs. He then got his second chance on the challenge, where he made the most of it to where he got to this point right here in season 24, paired up with the best partner he could ever had in his challenge career, where they just dog walked the competition and the season to get to the final and cash in his first ever challenge title. And finally, you probably guessed it, the number one CT challenge moment is none other than the Bananas backpack. After being DQ'd in season 17, CT's time in the challenge was up in the air. There was some competitors that felt that CT should never be on the challenge ever again.
I don't think that CT should ever be allowed back on a show. I'll openly say that.
But after a few seasons off, the challenge decided to do a trial run by bringing in CT as the first ever mercenary / heavy hitter in challenge history. CT would be facing off against Johnny Bananas and Tyler Duckworth, where, unfortunately for Bananas, he was first up to take on CT. When TJ blew that horn, CT stood up, walked Bananas over to the barrel, and smashed into it in seconds. CT made this moment look effortless. CT has a grown man on his back, and he's walking him as if he is like a baby in a baby holder.
We're gonna need another barrel.
This moment is a top 10 challenge moment. Some people would say a top 5, maybe even the top challenge moment in challenge history. One of the most iconic, for sure. There was no doubt that this had to be the number one moment in CT's challenge career so far. But that is it for CT's top 10 challenge moments in his challenge career so far. What do you think about this list? Let me know down in the comment section below. Which CT moment is your favorite from this list? Did I get these rankings right? Or do you think I got them wrong? If you think I have something in the wrong place, let me know down in the comment section below where you would have these moments ranked in your top 10 of CT's moments. But now I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.